I've just pressed record on episode 8 of my podcast, the Bigger Than Running podcast, episode 8. Before I start, even before we start doing the warm-up, I just got notified that I had 1,000 listens to my podcast, or 1,000 downloads of my podcast. And that's really exciting because that is only on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon. It doesn't take into account the YouTube version of the podcast. And so 1,000 plays or downloads is very special. It's a very key milestone because it is a sign that this is happening. And you have received me very well. And I wanna thank you very, very much for giving me the opportunity to kind of transition into this podcast space whilst I still maintain my YouTube channel. I sincerely appreciate your attention, your engagement, and more importantly, your encouragement. I read a few reviews, or a review actually, on Apple Podcasts or Apple Music. Very kind words were said of this podcast, and I'm grateful. Let's get to the warm-up. No, actually, before we even start, wait, don't put your shoes on yet. Don't put your shoes on. I want to touch on 3 things that I'm changing, or I have changed on the podcast. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you will notice I've rearranged the space and it looks slightly different, specifically for the podcast. And so hopefully that adds a little pizzazz, a little flavor, a little swagger to the podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you will notice subtle changes, repositioning of certain things, and hopefully that adds to the aesthetic. Second, you will notice the sound is different. And so upgraded the microphone to a podcasting one. Eventually we will get a better one as we go, one change at a time whilst we try and grow this thing. Okay, now you can put your shoes on. Let's do this warm-up. All right, now the warm-up, for those of you catching on and new to the podcast, this is where we talk about what this episode is going to be about. And it's big. I've got a massive announcement. One of the biggest announcements I have made since starting my YouTube channel, since running, because I announced things like I'm running Boston Marathon, I'm running Berlin, all that kind of stuff. It's up to that kind of magnitude. It's a very big announcement that I have to make. Okay, so I have that. The second thing, I want to touch on the role that we play as runners, more importantly, as runners, to the impact or the longevity of a brand. More importantly, people like influencers, YouTubers, content creators, professional or elite athletes, what role do they have in the longevity of a brand? It's very, very important, simply because there was something that happened this week that actually touched me. And I genuinely mean emotionally moved me. And I'm going to touch on that. Probably the biggest, most important part of this episode will be that section. So please stick around. In terms of the YouTube section, videos. So for those of you, again, catching on, I also share videos on YouTube that I watched this week that I want you to know about, and therefore go check out yourself. We're going to start with Atreyu. I won't touch on that just yet. And then we're going to touch on Here We Are Running. Is a friend of mine. His name is Chris. He put out a video just yesterday. We went on a long run together in Box Hill, in Guildford, Dorking Way. And it's a popular route for those of you that follow trail running. You might know it's called the North Downs. And he took me out there. Now, you know me, I don't do trail running. So the long run on Sunday was done in that. And he's done a video on it. I'll touch on it when we get there. And then there's a channel called Running in Japan. Not Ran to Japan that I talked about in a previous video. The guy is well known, not that guy. But there's another guy called Running in Japan. I'll touch on that in a little bit. And then lastly, there's a lady who's been supporting me. Now, for me, I am going to be very intentional about diversity in the space. And so I want to touch on a lady's channel called Lenka on the Run. she started a season of trail running. You're going to see a theme. I'm trying to get a bit more serious about trail running because I've suddenly switched on that there are more things, more important things than pace, PBs, and trail running offers much, much more than just looking at splits, because the run that I did with Chris opened my eyes to so much. And then lastly, we're going to touch on Worthing 10K. At the time when you're listening to this, I will be on the start line. And so I don't only want to talk about Worthing 10K as what I'm doing, but I want to talk about the start line. And in this time, it will be Worthing 10K. Okay, so with all of that said, let's get to it. I'm going to start on, actually, I'll save the announcement to after this section. The first section I want to talk about is the impact that we have as runners on the longevity of a brand. The founder and the main guy, the face of Atreyu, he put out a YouTube. Now, actually, let me start. He put out an Instagram reel, which was a cut of his YouTube video announcing Atreyu was winding down. Now, for those of you that don't know what Atreyu is, if you're into running shoes, there are some brands that are just categorized as the underdogs. You will know Nike, you will know Adidas, you will know Puma, you will know Hoka, On, you will know New Balance, you will know all those big brands. But then there are these small ones. Now, these small ones are fighting a very tough battle. Don't get me wrong, there are some brands like Mount to Coast, Topo, that you won't necessarily know about Ultra until you're really immersed into the running world. One of those was Atreyu. Now, I was upset after watching this video at the fact that I was upset. Let me explain. I was annoyed at the fact that I was annoyed. This guy told the story of how he started this brand, and ultimately it's led to a point where they can't sustain production, they can't sustain having their business, and therefore they're closing down. So Atreyu, the running shoe brand, is shutting down. And I felt so sad because the guy is just a lovable guy. I had a chat with Thomas actually, and he was candid enough to say, you know what, they don't get enough shine, but the guy is lovely. And so when he said that, I was like, actually, there's much more to his brand. The guy just might be a nice guy. So when I watched this video, those words that Thomas from Believe in a Run kind of resonated because I fully empathized with him. And I felt my heart break for this guy because he's now having to, sorry if this sounds harsh, but to wind down his dream. He started wanting to just sell running shoes at running events in the back of his van. That's all he wanted. And then they came up with this subscription model that actually if you subscribe, you would get shoes. And then eventually got into the scale that they did, but ultimately they're having to shut down. And that was his announcement. So there I am watching it and I was like, oh, that's sad, man. That's really sad. And then I thought about it. I don't own an Atreyu shoe. I have never bought an Atreyu shoe. What right do I have to be sad for this guy when actually I've never really supported him? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should all be looking at these people like charities and donate money in exchange for, no, at the end of the day, people are going to buy what they want to buy. But how I felt listening to this man, how I felt, I was sad. But then I quickly checked myself and go, well, Aubrey, fine, you didn't buy his shoes, but did you talk about him? There are people that are listening to the things that you say. Did you plug his brand? Oh, no, you were busy talking about Nike, yeah? Yeah? Okay, cool. You're busy talking about the Neo Vista 2, yeah? Why didn't you talk about him? You know, so, by the way, before you go, yeah, Aubrey, you're a donut. Why didn't you do that? I've actually started a section in my podcast specifically for that. So don't bash me too hard. I'm just saying I checked myself before I go way too upset at this thing. But the main point is I got to a place where I realized that as runners, even if it is when you see your favorite brand share something on Instagram and then you share it to your stories, you press like. When your favorite brand does a YouTube video, you go and subscribe to their channel. It's honestly a small thing to you, but it moves the dial to this brand. If you're on Instagram, yeah, and you know that they're releasing a shoe, you don't need to buy the shoe. But if it's a brand you genuinely and authentically support, please take the time to go, hey, I'm hyped about this. I'll see how it goes. You might not have intentions of buying the shoe, but have intentions of at least sharing their content, of at least appreciating something that you already do have, sharing that and saying, actually, looks, this is great. More importantly, I started this podcast by saying about the review I saw on my podcast. I don't have many. I don't know if maybe I don't know how to use it, but I think I've got one review at the moment, which is really, really cool. But leaving a review for a brand does so much. Whether it is on Google reviews, whether it is on their website, it does so much. But for me, I'm not even going to lie to you. I can't be bothered to write a whole review on stuff. So I do that through my YouTube channel. I look at stuff. Don't get me wrong. If I find fault with it, I will tell you. There isn't a single brand I haven't criticized. Not one. If it's Ultra, I'll tell you, hey, I like the zero drop. I like the foot shape. But your colorways, bro. The way the shoes look, bro. Come on, bro. Sort this out. You know, I reviewed Hoka's Cielo X1 2.0 recently, and I wasn't happy with the outsole. I called that out. I was happy with the rate reduction. I was happy with how comfortable it felt, like that pace, the update to the upper. You know, any single shoe you tell me, I will tell you the fault with that shoe, and I voiced it out. I love Mizuno as a brand. The Wave Rebellion Pro, get it out my face. It's not for me. The Neo Vista, best shoe. One of the best shoes I've ever ran in. Any shoe, any brand will have its pluses and minuses. But it does so much. So I'll give you an example. Even Nike being the big brand that it is, it has its faults. It has its faults. But you know what? When I went to Spain for the launch of the Vomero 18, and I then met the product line manager of the Vomero 18, it changed how I talked about that shoe. Because I now understand it's not just a shoe. They are people that have devoted. Now, when you guys see the Vomero 18, it's launching in March 2025. Those guys started working on that thing in March 2024 or even before. I'll give you an example. When I went to New York for New York Marathon with New Balance, I saw the Rebel V5, SE Elite V5 way back then. And they had it obviously ready way before we got there. These people are working so hard behind these shoes, behind these products, the t-shirts, shorts, half tights. There's a guy, his name is Scullion, right? Now, this guy is a YouTuber. He's a runner, and he started his own brand. I watch some of his YouTube videos because I don't relate too much to his running. He's one of those like elite runners, and therefore when he gives his advice, he's speaking from that perspective. So I find it hard to relate. What I do relate to is he is grinding for his livelihood. He is grinding, introducing products that the runners can use. It's people like him you need to recognize and support. With that said, the red hat I'm wearing, if you're just listening to this on Spotify, Apple Music, the red hat I'm wearing was sent to me by a brand called Twisted Running. Shout out to you guys. Doing a great job. And I'm not saying it because they sent me the hat. They sent me the hat because I was talking about them. There's a difference. I want you to embrace what your favorite running brands are doing, especially if they are small, independent brands. Don't just watch from the sidelines, because honestly, when you order something from the smaller brand, they notice. When you leave them a review, they notice. When I share on Instagram stories, they reshare it to go, Aubrey, man, thank you very much. There are brands like Runner. They send me hats because I bought their hats for the longest time. I then had a presence within this running space and they started to support me. It's a pleasure to wear brands like that when I used to buy their stuff. So find some brands. To the gentleman at Atreyu, to your lovely wife, to your team, I want to say sorry. I want to say sorry because I feel like the running community, we are now sad because, oh man, but we didn't do enough, you know? So for me, I just want to say it because I feel like, yes, absolutely, I'm still going to be running in my Nike, my Adidas, because Adidas, I love Adidas running products. Absolutely. But I have a platform and it's for people like this gentleman from Atreyu. It's for people like the smaller brands with startups. It's for people like that. Platforms like mine can really benefit. And it could be a mutual beneficial thing that you come onto this podcast, the little following I have gets to see what you're doing. I can support you, you support me. But I genuinely feel as runners, we need to do more. We need to do better. It's just how I feel because this is people's livelihoods, you know. So it's also switched me onto a different level when I come to do my reviews. Now, I know I'm going to face a lot of flack for what I'm about to say. And when I start implementing it on my reviews, the shoe is much bigger than just the shoe. For you guys that just want to buy the shoe, run in it, and want to give your opinion, that's perfectly fine. But when you get to the point where I have reached, where I receive a handwritten note by a gentleman whose last name is Mizuno, when I talk about a shoe, I will still tell him what's wrong with his shoe, but with dignity, with respect and understanding of the hard labor. Because I know first name basis of the person responsible for the colorway of the Mizuno Neo Vista 2. I know on a first name basis the product line owner of the Vomero. I know first name basis of people in all of these brands that I have come to form a relationship with. And therefore I know that they want my feedback. They do. They definitely do. I know Sean, I know Todd from Puma. They want my feedback. And they trust me that when they send me their products, their running shoes, they're going to deal with someone who is professional, who's not just going to curse and just say certain things, because I understand that they are human beings. And this Atreyu video I watched emphasized that even more. But more importantly, I've realized outside of shoe reviews, outside of the need to not only be independent, impartial, but to appear so for the running shoe reviews, I have a podcast now that I can start to bring spotlight to deserving brands. So going forward, please expect that you will see little emerging startups, voices that want to speak. And I will open up this platform for people like that because I know what it's like to start something from the ground and build it up. With that said, it's a perfect segue to my announcement. Before I give the announcement, a little background. I announced that I was running Berlin Marathon in September 2024 and I was attacked. Okay. There is a group of people, some I understand and empathize with, and some is just pure hatred. Some of it is pure jealousy, and some of it, there was somebody who was just bluntly racist. Just bluntly racist. When I said that, the sentiment was, I'm undeserving. Long story short, one of the best moments of my life, ran it with my friend Thomas, and I became a marathon runner. The next marathon after that was New York. I struggled in New York. I had to walk for some of it. And because of the walking, I was attacked. You don't deserve to be there. They're more deserving runners that will actually run that and will be walking at a world major marathon. Again, there was a group of people that were opposing the fact that all I do, and there was a guy who I think he thought he was being genuine and authentic, like, Aubrey, mate, don't get me wrong, you make really good videos and that, but you don't deserve to be at a marathon just because of that, and it comes with a lot of hatred. It comes with a lot of judgment, criticism, and some of it really, really rocked me and actually started to make me question what I'm doing in this space. But that was nothing compared to when I announced Boston. You see, Boston came off the back of the announcement for London. It meant I was doing London Marathon, a world major, highly sought after, and Boston. Now, Boston, for those of you that don't know, has a very demanding qualification time. You have to qualify for Boston. And there I was. I couldn't get anywhere near that qualification time. And I was announcing to people that view the channel, the general public really, that I was running Boston. I have never faced negativity like that, to a point where I did a video explaining how people get into marathons. And the general statement was, the people that organize and own the marathon have got a right to say who runs that marathon. Okay? It could be a ballot. It could be someone who's never even run a day in their lives, randomly decide their ballot, they get picked. Okay? Because the owner of that marathon has decided that that is a worthy way of joining their marathon, go ahead. The other thing is a charity. If you're raising money for charity, they'll tell you the cap that you need to raise. If you raise that amount, go ahead. The other thing is sports tours. So you have companies that you can pay money to. They'll get you a bib, accommodation, arrange the whole time while you're there. Go ahead. Qualification, go ahead. And also, these marathons are sponsored by organizations that are then, in exchange for their sponsorship, are given bibs to allocate to who they see fit. I happen to be one of those. Anyway, so I was attacked. I don't want to call it anything else. It was simply that. I was bullied and I was attacked. And for the first time in a very long time, I gave in. I almost gave up, but I know I gave in. I didn't want to respond anymore. I didn't feel I had a leg to stand on. I was deflated. Until, of course, I had a conversation with several people. Chris Ford of 4D Runs changed a lot of my mindset. One of his friends, his name is Hayden, changed my mindset. Thomas from Believe in a Run actually got into an argument, let's call it a discussion, with some of these people in the comments of my video. I decided within myself, Boston and London, that phase of my life will never happen again. It is with that boldness, it is with that gratitude, that level of confidence and assurance and a security within myself and my worth and full understanding that I belong here. I am very pleased to say, through the support of Sports Direct and Asics, I'm running Sydney Marathon 2025. Man. Now look, my channel is called Bigger Than Running. Don't get me wrong. Please don't get this bit confused. The fact that I'm going to run Sydney Marathon, the marathon itself, is a big deal. That's world major number 7. I still have to do the 2, by the way. I still have to do Tokyo and Chicago. Let's park that for now. But that's world major number 7. Just wow. Just wow. I've never been to Australia before. And it's the gift of running that has enabled me to see 3 continents that I had never been to before. Ever since I have come into this running space, running has given me a perspective to life that I didn't have before. Don't get me wrong, as described, it's come with its challenges, but I simply have not experienced some things that I've recently experienced, all because of running. Okay. Going to New York Marathon was the first time ever going to the States as a continent, not even just New York, as a continent. Going to run Osaka Marathon was the first time I had been to Asia, all of Asia, the first time. This will be the first time going to Australia. And I will experience a culture in Australia I've never experienced before. That's mad. So when I say this stuff is bigger than running, please understand what I mean. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy this running stuff. I really do. I enjoy the running shoe reviews. But this is real life that I get to go to Australia through the support of Sports Direct and Asics. Now, having discussions and meetings with Sports Direct, there's a guy I work with over there. His name is Josh. And him and other members of his team, Eloise and Lucy and Jackie, they do an amazing job of looking after us. They really do. And the guy came back to my email and we've agreed. The content plan starts like, okay, let me just explain what happens. Because of what I do, I go out to run the marathon and all of that. I get to share the journey. I talk about the brand that's taking me there. It's just how it works, right? And because of that, I put together a content plan of what I'm going to share, what I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to do it, nearing to the marathon itself. And we've agreed it's somewhere in the future when I start doing this properly. But out of my own recognition and gratitude, I said, forget what we've agreed. I want to start thanking you now because I can't afford, let me just put this bluntly to you. I can't physically, literally afford to go to Australia, put myself up in a hotel and have marathon, feed myself while I'm there. I can't because genuinely my money is spent on my family. I can't afford that. So a lot of people, especially the trolls, they'll be like, here it goes. And he's just going to be banging on about the brand. Oh, look how amazing Asics are. Look, bro. Let me take you to where I come from. If you knew where I was coming from in my life, to tell you I'm going to Australia for a marathon, you wouldn't believe it. So look, man, to the trolls that trolled me before, if you're getting ready to troll me now, hey, join the queue. I've introduced a queue, okay? In the back of the YouTube studio, the back over there, there's a queue. It's busy right now. You might have to wait because that bad boy is going to be full. That's all we're doing with the trolls and the haters this year. After the experience I had with Boston and London, I'm just showing them where the queue is. Queue up, wait for your turn, and do your thing when your turn is up, all right? Can you believe it? Australia. It's going to take me like 15 million days just to get there, right? And then I was on Instagram today. One of my favorite runners, content creators is a guy named Mo. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I like Mo Farah and all of that. I do. Mo Farah, if you're listening, bro, I love you. I do. But when I say Mo, I'm not talking Mo Farah. I'm talking Mo from the running channel. You know that Mo? Yeah? All right, fine. Anyway, so Mo, he's also going to Sydney. I'm like, what? I'm excited because I might get to see the guy. Might get to be with Mo. I'm also excited about 2 other people that I watch on YouTube. There's a guy called Jogon crew go? I don't know, bro. But I love the guy's channel, right? I just realized he was on the same Osaka marathon trip I was on. I didn't get to see the guy. I don't know how that happened. Missed the opportunity of meeting the guy. But anyway, it'd be really, really cool to meet him. And then there's another guy called Dave the Runner. I'm going to rock up in Australia and be like, good day, mate. Good day, mate. Why don't we do it on a barbie? You doing a barbie? Right. Forgive me for the accent. I'm just hyped, man. So that was the big announcement. So the training now starts. Now, let's talk about the plan for Sydney Marathon. All right. The aspirational plan. Goal A. The rule is go faster than last time. That's it. Okay. Faster than last time. Except last time was London Marathon. London Marathon was right after Boston. So last time in my head is Boston. 4 hours, 29. The goal is to run that marathon in faster than 4 hours, 29. My PB, though, is 4 hours, 25, which was at Berlin. So the plan is to get the training going right now to get me to a place where I can run faster than 4 hours, 29. Okay? All goes well, we might do it, beat the PB. But when you look at the elevation of the Sydney Marathon, bro, I'm going to calm down a little bit. I don't want to get excited, over-promise to you guys and not deliver. So I'm going to calm down. 4:29 is the goal. What's the B goal? The B goal is beat the last time, the literal last time, which is 4:34. Got to beat that. Okay. What's the C goal? The C goal is going to be running with an Australian. I mean it. I mean it. I'm going to put feelers out there to go, hey guys, who runs at the same pace as me? Let's go run together. And before I die, I can say I ran with an Australian down under. I genuinely mean it. I mean it. That will be my goal. My goal will be to run with an Australian as the C goal. And you know what? There was a lady actually during Osaka Marathon that stopped me. Her name is Joe. She said, hey, Aubrey. I was like, huh? And she introduced herself. And Joe from Australia. I was like, oh yeah? Come on. Joe, I don't know if you're doing Sydney, but if you are, she's a beast. So you might have a serious goal faster than I will if you're running it. And if you're not running it at that fast pace, run with me. It'd be a joy. Okay. So Atreyu and how we're going to support the brands, tick. The announcement, tick. I'm excited. Let's talk about the YouTube section. Okay, so I watched 4 videos. I touched on one already, Atreyu. I want you to watch this video. Once in a while, people just switch on their cameras and they just talk. I've done it myself on this channel where I was going through things and you just put the camera on and you just talk. You just talk and people can feel the authenticity, the sincerity in what's being said. Now, this gentleman from Atreyu addressing the closure of his business moved me emotionally. I was deeply saddened, but the good videos always do 2 things well. They get you to empathize with the speaker, but more importantly, they get you to internalize what was said and do something about it. I had a whole different plan for this episode, but when I watched his video, it moved me. The other thing that moved me is Robbie from Believe in the Run commented on the Instagram post saying, I love you, brother. And I was like, wait, this guy is genuinely just a guy. Because when you look at Nike, you can't think of a guy. I don't think of a guy. When New Balance, I can't think of a guy. You know what I mean? When you think of Adidas, I can't think of a face. I've spoken to, and I know the CEO of Adidas, I know the people within the marketing department of Adidas. I can put their faces to the brand, but I mean, when you hear this brand, it's this guy. That is precious. And I fell for him. I want you to watch this video. I will link the channel. It's basically a Atreyu running company, I want to say. That's the channel. Please check that out. Okay? All right. The next one is Here We Are Running. Here We Are Running is a YouTube channel. This guy's a vet. Basically, he's been on YouTube for a while. He's one of the OGs, and he lives local to me. I got to meet him because my local annual race is Run Reigate, and he paced it one time. And then the following year when I was running it, I looked up videos of that race, and one of the videos I watched was his. And so when I finally got to meet him, I'm a good judge of character, and this guy is honestly just down to earth and lovely man. He is just a lovely man. And it was such a joy to actually meet him and then get to actually call him my friend. He genuinely is that now. So I feel like our friendship kind of really, really became what it is during the Osaka Marathon block. Now, I put together an Instagram group of some fellas. I say, guys, I'm training for this marathon. If you guys want to join. And before we knew it was a little group of us. And this guy is the constant. He is there every Sunday. Chris, long run, what are we doing? Anyway, so this Sunday gone, I was like, what are we doing? I was like, actually, do you want to come do a trail run? No. Actually, no, I lie. I said, on the week before, we were supposed to be doing an easy trail run because Mount to Coast had sent me their shoes. And so I figured, all right, fine, let's do a trail run. But it was half term. The kids were on holiday and work was busy. And I like to prioritize work before any of this running and YouTubing stuff, right? So I canceled the run. We pushed it to Sunday. It became the long run. And he suggested, okay, fine, 16K, let's go out to the trails. He filmed it, as did I. And he's produced his race vlog. And I have to tell you, it is so weird. And I mean really, really weird to watch myself. Let me explain. When I film the stuff I do, if I'm doing my training vlogs, race vlogs, even now as I'm talking to this, it's become second nature. I don't even think about this. It's become, I'm going to tell you, right? You could have the most eloquent speaker, somebody who just speaks fluidly, okay? As soon as you put a camera to their face, oh man, the stuttering you're going to see, the takes you're going to have to do, it's just become second nature to me. And you know, sometimes even when you're recording your voice and you hear your own voice back, it sounds weird, right? Not to me, because it's become second nature. So when I watch myself on the videos that I make and the recording on the podcast, it's nothing, right? Watching Chris's video with me, looking at how he's edited it, put his own spin to the same run we did, which I also did a video for. It's such a refreshing angle. And I just appreciate the craftsman, the art side, the authenticity of what he does. I want you to check it out, okay? And when you're done checking it out, please consider subscribing to his channel. He's doing amazing work. I just wish he did more, you know? I'm hoping just by sort of sticking around with me and me peer pressuring him, he actually gave me feedback for this podcast saying, Aubrey, I think you're doing a good job with a podcast, but you can't be doing a podcast for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? It needs to be longer. I was like, okay, fine. In the same vein, Chris, let me give you some feedback. You can't be giving us a video once every 15 years, you know, because we like what you do. And so for me, it's just an iron sharpening iron situation. But this video was really good. I also noted how much complaining I do when I'm doing these runs. I was just moaning the whole period. Anyway, let's move on. Um, Third video, running in Japan. Not ran to Japan, because that funny guy, you know, the big guy. No, not him. There's another channel called Running in Japan. I watched one video of his. He's put out another video since, which I haven't watched, but there was one video where he is giving an account of the Tokyo Legacy Half Marathon. And he shared his journey in that video of how he got into running. I think he is ex-army, then decided he's going to start running again. Now, the reason I like this is I didn't realize this, but during Tokyo, so he lives in Tokyo, but during Tokyo Marathon, he took up the role of taking photographs for people. And there were the black runners within Tokyo, and he took pictures for them. And he sort of decided with himself, like he really admired what these people were doing, that he would do this himself. You know, so he then gets on that mission and does that. That's where he then said, okay, I'm actually going to start building. I don't want to give it away too much, but it touched me. The video touched me. And he seems like, I think he's very well connected with his faith. He's Christian, very down to earth guy. And for me, it's where this bigger than running ethos sort of comes in. Anyway, check him out. Running in Japan. Lastly, there's a lady. Now, I'm going to be very intentional about speaking about lady channels when I do this section. Not simply for the sake of doing it, but also for the sake of doing it. I feel like the ladies are doing a very good job, especially now. I might get attacked for saying this. I don't like the overly cosmetic, the cosmetic beauty side of YouTube, the very influencery kind of, where you know they're flaunting something. That's not my kind of viewing. I'm just going to say it, just so you know. There are some people that are just authentic, good people, enjoy running. And this lady named Lenka, her channel is Lenka on the Run. I've connected with her on Instagram as well. She supports what I do very loudly. And she started, I told you, I'm doing this trail running and I'm doing it for real. But she has started a season of trail running. This is season 2. So she's done this before, where she shares with you her running that she does in the different places where she goes, and just openly shares the wonders of these places. And you feel like you're really there. The other thing is, she touched on something that is the same message that was on my trail run video. She said, the beauty of these trail runs, I don't look at pace. I can stop and just look at flowers. I can stop and have my snacks, carry on with my run. Honestly, I wish people could experience, I know it sounds simple, but the simplicity and the beauty of that kind of running. So the video I shared recently, it's called Joy, the unrecorded metric, or the metric nobody records, or I can't remember, bro. All I know is it's about joy. I end that video by saying, on your next run, leave the watch at home, the heart rate monitor. Leave all the stats at home, just go running and see how refreshing that is, because I did it at Hackney Half Marathon. It's so liberating, and Lenka's video shared that message. Anyway, Lenka on the Run. The last section is the sponsored or not sponsored section. And if you've been watching the previous episodes, this is where I was saying I'm going to fake it till I make it. I am very pleased to say that very soon, we won't be faking it too long. It's why, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, I've got this Asics hoodie on. It's why I've got my Asics shoes, my favorite Asics shoes, current, in the background, simply because of the training block I'm about to start. It is through the support of Asics that I'll be going to Sydney. So in this section, I want to wrap up by telling you the rotation that I will be using for this block. Now, it's possible that I might get new shoes. Asics will do something. I don't know. If they do, I'll be grateful. If they don't, I'll still be grateful because I've got all the shoes I need. So I plan to just walk you through the rotation for the training block. Okay. The shoe that I'm mostly going to use is this shoe here. This is the Asics Gel Nimbus 27. The Asics Gel Nimbus 27 to me is my shoe of choice. If I could just choose one shoe from Asics, it would be this shoe. Now, don't get me wrong. Over there, I've got the Super Blast 2s. And a lot of people love the Super Blast 2s. I don't like it as much as I like the Gel Nimbus 27. And I know a lot of people are going to come at me. Please do. Please do. I told you already. I've opened up a queue. All the trolls, anybody that's going to come here with, I'm not saying you're not allowed to disagree with me. Of course you are. Of course you're allowed to share opinions. Of course you are. You know what? You're allowed to even correct me where I've been technically wrong. You are. But if you're trolling and just here trying to bring negativity, if you make a left at the YouTube studio, turn left, down the hall, keep going, and you see a dog barking, make a left over there, over the hill, make a left and a right. You'll see a queue for the trolls. They'll be there. Anyway, the shoe of choice. Easy runs, my long runs, recovery runs, there. If I want to do the same, but maybe take up the pace a little bit, it will then be the Novablast 5. Asics Novablast 5 will be that shoe. And I'll be honest with you, in some of these shoes, there is a lot of crossover, so it won't really matter too much. With the kind of running and the paces I do, don't get me wrong, bro. Man's fast when he wants to be. Don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. I was going to say Kipchoge, but he's not really Asics, so I won't. Anyway, so yeah. And then I want to give this guy another chance. Cumulus 27. Now, the one thing you should be assured of when you come to my channel, I'm going to keep it real. I didn't understand the Cumulus 27. When you have the Gel Nimbus 27 and you've got the Novablast 5, there is something confusing about the Cumulus. Now, a lot of people tried to put me on game, tried to educate me about it. After everything everyone said, I still didn't get it, right? Anyway, and then lastly, for intervals, race day, I don't actually think I'm going to run the marathon in these. I don't run that kind of way. But for fast stuff, intervals, reps, and all this kind of stuff, don't get me wrong, it will get spicy. When I do this training, it will get spicy. Please believe me, it will get spicy. This is the shoe, the Metaspeed Skies, okay? That is going to be the rotation for the training specifically for the marathon. Now, it's possible I might have shoes to review in between. So you're going to see the reviews that I've got going on already. I'll see those through. But as we get nearer to the time, these will be the main shoes that will feature. Not only because they're excellent shoes, but it's my way of acknowledging, you know what, man? This is very, very special. It's a very special thing. So Sports Direct, Asics, thank you very much for considering me and bringing me onto this journey, offering me such an opportunity. It's literally once in a lifetime. And I am grateful, super grateful. Okay. Now, I talked about highlighting the smaller brands. I talked of this hat that I'm wearing. It wouldn't be right. And it would be very hypocritical. After I've said all of that, I then talk about Asics only. I want to talk about Twisted Running. There's a guy, right? His name is Inky Steve on Instagram. Look up Inky Steve, right? Now, this guy is also a graphics animator. So he's a graphics artist. And when I did Berlin, I took a picture with Thomas and he turned it into a cartoon and it was well done. And then when I did Boston and London, he then did another cartoon of that. Anyway, this guy works very closely with the guys at Twisted Running. I like Twisted Running because of that guy, right? So I go to, I want to say the National Running Show. Yes, the National Running Show. And they had a stand, and I went up there, showed them some love, and told them how much I appreciate them. I was hoping to see Inky Steve, but Inky Steve was not there. Anyway, they've released some new products. And part of that product was, hey, I'm having a bad hair day, but hold on. Just for you guys listening on audio only, I want to show these guys the hat on YouTube. So this hat here, they showed it on their Instagram. Really, really cool running hat. And red is my favorite color. I then said, now don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm just trying my luck, you know, when I go, oh, that's fire, you know, hoping that Inky Steve will see me saying, oh, that's fire, and then he'll send me something. This wasn't that. This is me literally just showing love to these guys because they're genuinely just really good guys. There's a guy named Paul who is kind of central to it, I think, and a lady named Jess. I love brands when you can connect with faces or people behind it. Anyway, they sent me this hat off the back of that. So look up Twisted Running. Now, the reason I like what they do is it's the quirkiest colors, bro. I'm telling you now, no one can miss you in the colors that those guys do. So check them out. Twisted Running on Instagram. Give them a follow and check out the new running product. I don't ever want to see good people, hardworking people, give up on their dreams. Hey, I'll see you in a bit.